Welcome to What's Cooking New Ulm. I'm Rebecca Fliszar, a registered dietitian with the Heart of New Ulm project. The Heart of New Ulm is working to reduce and eventually eliminate heart attacks in the 56073 zip code. Today's cooking show won't only feature great chefs and cooks with heart-healthy recipes, but we will have Fit in 5 with Holly Globitz, our health educator, and the Heart of New Ulm update by Betsy Pizer. It's going to be an information-filled half hour, so listen closely. Our guest today is Franz Huss. Welcome, Franz.
Hi, Rebecca. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to submit our recipe today?
Well, I'm really excited to be here, and I first started cooking when I was a youngster at home with my mom when I was probably about 3 or 4 years old, and just always enjoyed cooking at home, helping out with meals, and growing up throughout high school, cooking part-time at some restaurants in New Ulm. The first one was Bonanza, and then I worked at Subway, and I was in college. I cooked part-time throughout college at a couple of restaurants in Mankato, and my most exciting experience was in Colorado when I got to cook at some really great Italian restaurants like La Taza and Dionigi's, and I've just really enjoyed growing and cooking in this ever-learning experience. So.
Well, great, Franz. That's a lot of experience you bring for us today. And I see that you chose a great recipe that's both heart-healthy and high in protein. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Great. Well, I'm going to be cooking chicken asparagus with tossed penne and green peppers and mushrooms. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just kind of chop up some of the vegetables to prepare them. I've got my water boiling here. And I've got my other water boiling for the asparagus because we're going to steam the asparagus. I got 2 cups of water boiling for my pasta rotini, and then I have about a cup and a half boiling for my asparagus.
Well, I was really glad to see that you chose the asparagus. It's one of the reasons that I went on to select your recipe. Asparagus is extremely high in potassium and fiber, and at only 4 calories per stick, it makes a great snack. I think it adds a lot to your recipe as well with the nutrients, the color, and the crispness. So a great addition to this recipe.
That's right. So I also have 6 ounces of skinless chicken breast we're going to use, a cup and a half of mushrooms, a can of diced tomatoes. We're going to be using some extra virgin olive oil to brown up the chicken, 1 ounce of goat cheese to garnish and add some good flavor to the pasta, and also some Parmesan cheese, some ground black pepper, and some parsley flakes to garnish and season the dish.
Great. So when you break this down, we have several different sources of protein, all of them being lean. Our chicken breast is great. We try to incorporate this into our Mediterranean at least 1 to 2 times per week. Goat cheese is a good substitute for our regular processed cheeses such as American and cheddar. It's going to be lower in your saturated fat and total calories. So great. It adds a much different flavor as well. So what can you tell us a little bit about that goat cheese?
Well, the goat cheese is lighter cheese. It's comparable to like a feta cheese, and it's got some natural herbs infused with the cheese. So it obviously comes from goat's milk.
Great. Great. All right, well, we're going to take a break, and we're going to go to Holly for her Fit in 5. This is your opportunity to stay active while you begin to prepare your recipe.
Thanks, Becca. Welcome to Fit in 5. Have you wondered how you can get more physical activity into your day? How about being physically active while watching TV? Today I'm going to show you some exercises that you can do while enjoying your favorite television program. We're going to be using an exercise ball today. These balls are a great piece of equipment that you can purchase at any major discount store, and they're fairly inexpensive. We'll also be using a set of hand weights. If you don't have hand weights, you can use soup cans from your pantry, or I like to recommend using milk jugs. If you can save a couple of empty milk jugs to use as resistance, they're a wonderful tool, because as the exercise becomes a little easier, you just simply fill the jug full of water. Each one will weigh about 8 pounds empty. So let's go ahead and get started with a warm-up. We're going to go ahead and sit on the ball. Feet are going to be hip distance apart, and we're going to sit up nice and tall. So we're going to feel the ab and back muscles engage to hold the body upright. We're just going to simply start by bouncing nice and easy. And then we're going to add a little march. So we can march with the feet, or if we don't feel like we're very secure and have good balance, then we're simply going to work on continuing to bounce. Now, if you don't have a ball at home, you can do the same thing in a chair. You just take out the bounce. So instead of bouncing up and down, you're going to be marching. Just march with the feet, or you can stand and march in place. So as we continue to bounce, we're going to make the bounce a little bit bigger and the march a little bit bigger, and then we're going to start to pump the arms. We can hold the feet steady and bounce, and if we feel really daring, we can move the feet from side to side. And then back center. And once we feel nice and warmed up, we're going to go ahead, stop the bounce, and grab our weights. The first exercise we're going to do is sitting on the ball. We're going to go ahead and do a bicep curl. So we're going to bring the elbows in nice and tight to the body, and we're going to do a nice basic curl. We're going to come up nice and slow and controlled, so we make sure that we use that bicep muscle in the front of the arm, rather than going really quickly where we end up using more momentum. So we're going to come up nice and slow and controlled, and we're going to do this 12 times. You want to make sure that we have enough resistance that by the time we get to the number 12, it's fairly challenging and we shouldn't feel like we can continue on. It's okay to do 2 or 3 different sets of 12 if we would like. Next, we're going to go ahead and bring the weights together. We're going to work the tricep muscles, which are on the back of the arm. If we work the biceps, we also want to work the triceps. They're what we call opposing muscle groups, so they both need to be nice and strong. We're going to bring the weights up overhead. Our elbows are going to stay to our ears, and we're just going to extend up. Same thing, nice and slow and controlled for a set of 12. We really want to make sure that those elbows stay nice and tight into the head. We don't want to let them fly out to the side. And again, by the time we hit that number 12, we should feel like we need to rest. We're going to go ahead, bring the weights down, and we can set them down. Now, if we don't have hand weights and we use the milk jugs, we can go ahead and do the bicep curl. But when you do the overhead lift, you're going to extend up this way. Just make sure that the lid is attached nice and firm onto the milk jug, or you're going to get a shower along with your workout. We've done the biceps, we've done the triceps, now we're going to do the shoulders. So we're going to take our weights once again and just bring them to the side. We're going to gradually lift up, keeping those elbows nice and soft. We always want to make sure that the joints are soft. We don't want to lock the elbows out. It just places a little more strain on those joints. So we want to keep the elbows in a little bit. The shoulders should be down, so we're not going to have shoulder earrings by crunching up shoulders to the ears. They're down nice and relaxed. Same thing, simply do a set of 12. And we'll go ahead and set the weights down. Before we stand up, we're going to work those abs. So we're going to go ahead, take the ball, and we're going to scoot down nice and easy so our low back is actually on the ball. And I'm going to turn to the side just so you can see this a little better. Our low back will be on the ball. We can have the elbows to the side, hands behind the head, and we're just going to crunch up. The ball is nice because it provides support and is nice and soft under the back. Now, if we don't have a ball, you can go ahead and do these lying on the floor with a mat underneath. Or if your carpet's nice and soft, that'll work as well. You can do about a set of 25 of these. Your abs are considered an endurance muscle, so they can take a little bit more. And and then you just roll back up. Now we're going to go ahead and come off the ball and stand up. We're going to do a nice, what's called a multi-joint activity for the lower body. One of my favorites, it's a squat. Now, we're going to try to keep the ball right behind us. If it rolls away, don't worry about it, but we want those feet about hip distance apart. The abs are in nice and tight. Again, they're going to provide some stability for us. So all we're going to do is squat back so we're touching our ball. Reach back. Let's go ahead and come up off the ball now. By the way, any of the exercises that we just did on the ball, you can also do seated in a chair. And we're going to do our last exercise using a chair. So you can slide a chair over, and we're going to stand in front of it with our feet hip distance apart. We're going to do a multi-joint exercise, which is called a squat. So we're going to go ahead and just sit back, slightly grazing our bum against the chair. We're going to come back and up with the chest lifted, and we want those shoulders nice and relaxed. This will work the lower body, the glutes, which are your bum, and your thighs, front and back. So this is a great exercise to incorporate all of those muscle groups. We're just going to continue on, and again, we're going to do this for a set of 12. If you'd like to vary your squat, add a little bit more inner outer thigh, you can squat down and reach a leg up. Squat down, reach a leg up. And we'll do just a couple more regular squats. Well, that's it. Hopefully these exercises will help you stay active while enjoying your favorite TV show. Now back to Becca.
Thanks, Holly. Those are easy tips for us to use when we're in our homes. All right, Franz, I think we're ready. Why don't you walk us through the preparation steps? Tell us a little bit about what kind of cutting skills you're using and why you chose the knives you chose.
Okay, well, I'm just using the basic chef knife, and I'm going to start off just taking off the ends of the asparagus. I'm using about 8 ounces of long stalk asparagus, so just an easy cut at the end. We'll take off the bottoms of the asparagus, and we don't save these, just toss these away.
To about 1 to 1.5 cups if you're looking at converting the ounces to cups, right?
Correct. So you can take these, and I got the water boiling already, so I'm just going to cut these in half one more time. Nothing too fancy as far as the cuts go. And I'm just going to boil these in the water. And then I have my green pepper already cut off the top and the bottom to save time. And I'm just going to cut that in half, cut that into 4s, and then I'm just going to cut that lengthwise. And as far as good cutting techniques, you basically use the knife as a wedge and just kind of a lever and just kind of keep the tip kind of stationary, and then always it's good to keep your fingers in when you're cutting and kind of slide it along, and you don't have to move the knife back and forth, but you just kind of keep the knife stationary and let it do all the work.
Great. Now this kind of cut is called a julienne, correct?
Correct.
You also notice in the asparagus, Franz used a little bit of a basket in there. This is keeping the asparagus out of the water and then retaining the nutrients just a little bit better than just plain boiling.
That's a really great point. I'm going to take a little bit of Bertolli olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and I'm going to put that in my saute pan, and I'm going to start sauteing up my green peppers. I'm going to add my can of diced stewed tomatoes and my 2 cups of mushroom, and then I'm going to get my 2 cups of pasta boiling here too.
Great. Now if you're following a low sodium diet, if you have any issues with fluid retention or high blood pressure, there are always the low sodium options for these tomatoes as well. We have already met our heart healthy requirements. This is a low sodium meal, but if you want to bring it down a little bit further, look for those low sodium options in your grocery store.
And I put about 1.5 ounces of extra virgin olive oil in to saute up the vegetables. And of course the pasta.
So Franz, how long do you want to let that asparagus steam?
The asparagus we're going to steam for about 10 minutes or less, and the pasta should take about 10 minutes to boil. I'm going to put another ounce of olive oil in my frying pan to start cooking up the chicken, and I want to do that for about 5 minutes on each side, so hopefully everything comes out ready to plate about even.
So our total olive oil being used today should be between 1 and 2 tablespoons. That's the goal for any heart-healthy recipe, keeping it as low as possible while still making it an effective and tasty meal. All right, Franz, while we're cooking these off and sauteing our meal, we're going to cut to Betsy Pizer. She's going to update us on any of our heart-healthy, Heart of New Ulm events coming up in our upcoming week. Take it away, Bets.
Thanks, Becca. My name is Betsy Pizer, and I'm thrilled to be a part of the Heart of New Ulm team. The Heart of New Ulm project is a 10-year initiative designed to reduce and eventually eliminate heart attacks in New Ulm, Minnesota. This means helping residents improve their health risks, such as physical activity, nutrition, obesity, and tobacco use, among others. The project will involve community education, medical interventions, and environmental changes, plus cooking shows and cooking classes. We're here to help you make the small changes. Why focus on heart attacks? A heart attack occurs when the blood supply to the part of the heart muscle is stopped. Heart attacks are the leading cause of death in the United States, and they affect over 1 million Americans each year. Heart disease is the second leading cause of death in Minnesota, close second to cancer. We believe that targeted, sustainable programs in New Ulm will create a model that can be adapted to other markets and help other communities. Let's work together to put New Ulm on the map. We appreciate the more than 5,000 people that joined us for our heart health screening last year. The results are in. Our screening results show that the most important lifestyle issues in New Ulm are weight management and fruit and vegetable intake. Working together as a community, we can help create an environment that promotes these lifestyle changes and helps everyone succeed in their efforts. How many servings of fruits and vegetables are you getting each day? How many servings of fruits and vegetables should you be eating each day? If you answered 5 servings, you're right. If you think the average person in New Ulm gets 5 servings, not yet, but we'll get there. Only 17% of New Ulm residents currently eat 5 or more fruits and vegetables each day, which is 8% less than the rest of the country. In comparison, twice as many residents in Vermont eat 5 or more servings of fruits and vegetables each day. And we can't use climate as an excuse. They get actually 95 inches of snowfall each year, while we're closer to 42. Fruit and vegetable consumption is a very important lifestyle behavior to improve, because a diet high in fruits and vegetables can help you feel better, lose weight, and avoid a heart attack. It's also an easy way to bring fresh, colorful food to your dinner table or lunch bag. Stay tuned for an exciting event update next week that will make you go get your swimsuit and dust off your running shoes. We'll also talk about the different symptoms that women and men present when having a heart attack. This is something you won't want to miss. Thank you to the entire New Ulm community for your hard work, enthusiasm, and dedication to ensuring the success of the Heart of New Ulm project. Also, if you went through a screening last year and you still have your Move to Improve booklet, the sun is coming out and the snow is melting. It's time to revisit the 8 places and get a good walk or run in. Thanks. Have a great week.
As part of the Heart of New Ulm, we've chosen to follow the Mediterranean diet. The reason this is chosen is because of the great health benefits that have been found. We can reduce our incidence of heart disease by over 20% and our incidence of cancer by over 1/3 just by changing the way we eat. Part of the Mediterranean diet requires us to eat at least 7 to 9 fruits and vegetables per day. Now, it might sound a lot, but as we change our recipes, change our snacks, and change our habits, it is a goal that is easily attainable. We want to limit our egg consumption to 4 eggs per week. Again, these include those eggs used when baking, and of course those that we eat outright. This helps us limit the amount of cholesterol we're taking in our diet, and it also helps us try to find other sources of good protein. Protein sources should be lean and should include things like nuts, such as walnuts, cashews, and almonds. This is a great source of good fats, as well as a high protein source. We're looking for those mono and polyunsaturated fats. We're trying to avoid saturated and trans fats. Always check your food labels to ensure none of your food products contain trans fats. We want to make sure our grains are whole grains. Try to avoid those that are enriched or blanched. So instead of white flour, try to substitute with a whole wheat. Instead of regular pasta, a whole wheat pasta will taste just as good and have twice the nutrients. But the basic principle is making sure we have high fruits and vegetables all day long. Replace our butter with things like olive oil or canola oil. Again, bring up our good fats and down our bad. Making these small changes will result in great benefits for our heart, and we'll notice that New Ulm and the 56073 zip code will become heart healthy, and we will eventually eliminate heart attacks in our zip code. All right, Franz, I think we're ready to put it all together. Let's see what you've got.
I agree. I'm just going to pull the chicken off, cut that up. I'm using a separate knife to cut the chicken. I'm going to cut it down the middle. And I'm going to turn it around and just cut it into nice little cubes. And you can see it's done because it's nice and white. I did kind of check it out a little bit to make sure it was done, and that happens. And that's just fine to me. It's always important to make sure it's done. Chicken usually want to have done at about 160 degrees.
That's right. Our danger area is our 40 to 140 degrees. That's where we want to avoid leaving our food. Anytime you check your temperature and it's between 40 and 140, either put it back in the fridge or put it back on the stove. But it needs to be at least 155 for chicken and other fowl. It needs to be above 160 for our beef and our pork.
All right, great. Well, I'm just going to slide the chicken into my saute pan now, and I'm going to put my noodles into my saute pan and kind of combine all the ingredients before we plate.
I really like the color the green peppers and the asparagus are adding. It looks like a great dish.
Yeah, it's really a nice melody there. And now I'm also going to take about 1 ounce of the goat cheese here and combine that and toss that with all the ingredients. That's going to give some nice creamy kind of seasoning and a little bit of its own sauce with the stewed tomato sauce and all the vegetables and chicken.
Goat cheese has a very unique taste. It's nice to have it with something like a tomato or other basic food that's not acidic. It tempers the taste of the goat cheese and really adds a lot of flavor.
It sure does. And it's mixing up real good here. While that's just heating up just a little bit longer, I'm going to take the asparagus out of the strainer and put about 4 ounces on each plate.
So these are still going to be a little crisp, huh?
They're a little crisp. I kind of steamed and blanched them.
And you can actually use as you saw, Franz used almost the entire stalk. Many times people like to cut off the top of the asparagus, and you really lose a lot of your nutrients if you're throwing the rest of the stalk away. You use the entire asparagus to get the most nutritional value from your foods.
Really, you just have to cut off the ends. Everything else is really good and edible. All right, we are ready to go here. So all I'm going to do is just kind of half this up on each plate. Oops, I lost the noodle there, but you guys can pick that up off your plate and put that to good use. Yeah, I really like the colors, the reds and the greens, and the chicken and the goat cheese.
Yes, it looks and smells terrific.
It's all infused nicely.
Now you can see that this is a really generous portion size, and yet this is still a low-calorie, heart-healthy meal. Be sure to use your measuring cups if you're following a diabetic diet or if you're following another restricted diet to make sure you're following your portion size rules. Anytime we're working on weight management or even weight loss, we have to be sure that we're following the right portion size. We're getting both vegetables, our carbohydrates, and lean proteins in the meal that Franz prepared for us today.
The last finishing step is just to sprinkle a little bit of shredded Parmesan cheese, just a nice little sprinkle on top.
It looks great.
Of each plate. And then I'm just going to finish with a little bit of parsley flakes.
An artist at work here, Franz.
And you're done. Now it's time to enjoy.
Thanks, Franz, and thanks for being here. And that's it for our show this week. Thanks for tuning in. We look forward to sharing great recipes with you in the future. Remember to follow Holly's Fit in 5 and enjoy any of the upcoming Heart of New Ulm events that Betsy has mentioned. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next week on What's Cooking, New Ulm?